All right, y'all, what's the deal? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Yaya Bradford for those who may not know me. For all my new subscribers, if you just not subscribing to the channel or just checking me out, man, I'm just an independent trader. I learned how to trade in 2018, taught myself how to trade, and the journey continues. I'm not a guru. I do not pretend to be a guru. I'm just sharing my trading experience through videos, okay? What works for me, what doesn't work for me, being totally transparent with everything. So, welcome to the channel. If you like the content, consider subscribing, liking the video, commenting, and let's get into it. All right, so in this video, I'm gonna show y'all how to spot gaps or imbalances or like supply and demand setups and everything like that. When I first learned about how to spot gaps and supply and demand setups and everything, to me, it was kind of confusing. It was just the way that I grasped to it, or my perception of it. It was just hard for me to understand. So the way that I like to teach myself how to trade is like try to switch it into a way where I can understand it in my own lingo, because I realized in the Forex or trading industry, it's a lot of unnecessary words being used when you could just keep it simple. So that's the key to trading, like keeping it simple with everything that you do. So I just be trying to make stuff work for me. As y'all know, I used to trade fundamentals a lot, but now I just trade like technicals. I still do trade fundamentals, but not a big part of it is fundamentals. I just use it as like correlation or confirmation for me. But so I'm gonna show y'all a setup. I do not have replay mode. I haven't paid my prescription. I haven't paid my subscription. Ooh wee, your girl can't talk. I'm telling y'all. All right, so let's get into it. So when looking for gaps or imbalances, you want to look for a breaker structure. So if you don't know what a breaker structure is, well, this is a breaker structure. When you have a trending market going up and down, or down and up, which this is an uptrend, and then somehow I always be like drawing my downtrends ugly. Oh, I did it. It's not really a downtrend, but whatever. So when you have breaker structures like this would be considered a breaker structure. Boom. Then you just have another one here. This could be considered a breaker structure. This would be considered a breaker structure. And this would be considered a breaker structure. So all of these are breaker structures. And what will make these breaker structure is because you have a trending market. You have a trending market and price has broken above the previous high. Y'all get the point. I'm not gonna do this to the downtrend, but y'all get the point. So you have a high here, which is here. Price came back, pulled back, and it surpassed this previous high, and it broken structure to the upside. And then this will be considered the new high right here. And then it pulled back, and then it broke this previous high here, and it came up and it made a new high right here. So boom, same thing for a downtrend. You got a breaker structure here, you got a breaker structure here, and etc., etc. So those would be considered breaker structures, right? So in this example right here, we could see, I'm gonna just mark everything up on a 1 hour time frame, because this is literally the only time frame. It used to be the 4 hour, but the 4 hour is like extremely slow for me, and I like slow, but that's just too slow. So I officially like to look at the 1 hour instead. So when it comes to marking up the charts, I look at it. When it comes to looking for gaps, I look at it. Supply and demand setups, I look at it. And then when I get ready to look to get inside the market, that's when I go down to a lower time frame, a 15 minute, maybe a 5, but really 15. So a 1 hour and a 15 time frame is the time frames that I use. So when you're looking for breaker structure, so we have a low sitting right here, right? We can see we have a low. Price came here and created a low, right? And sometimes I switch it to a chart. I don't like this blue, so we're gonna change this to black. All right. So sometimes I like to switch it to the line graph so I can see like a better point of where price is. So you can see here, I had to move it up a little bit. It's just a little what you call those? A little jump for you. All right. So we can see we have a low here, and we can see we have a high here. So this could be our high right here. So boom. Or you could just turn on this indicator that I use too. It's called pivot high and low. So you can go to it, type in pivot high and low, and then boom, it's right there. Gotcha. So, oh wait, that was the wrong one. Boom. So you can see right here, this was the low 14789, and then this is a high right here 14983. So technically everything lines up. So boom. All right, so we turn it back to the candlesticks. And then if we look in here, y'all, we could see that price came down. It made a low, came back up, and then it broke it right here and right here. So now we have a new high in the market, okay? So I know we about to get into how you spot gaps. All right, so the easiest way to spot a gap is looking for a break of structure. So this right here will be considered a break of structure because we see that price surpassed our previous high. This was our high right here, and then it broke it. Remember I told y'all when price breaks structure, it breaks a previous high. So this is where price broke the structure with candlesticks that was like a lot of momentum to them. And if you pay attention to the candlesticks, you can see that there is no candlestick on the left side of it or the right side of it. Okay, so in order to spot these imbalances or gaps, all you have to do is this simple thing, bro. Like, look, you know how you got like, okay, you got this cross right here. You could use a cross, or you could use, maybe a horizontal line, or really the cross for real. So if I can hover over this candlestick and I could put this cross over it, and it's nothing, it's not a wick, it's not a body to the left of it or the right of it, and it's like going all the way to the left and going all the way to the right. If I could do that, then that is a gap for me. That's an imbalance for me. Like this whole candlestick is an imbalance, and from right here to right here, this is like a gap. It's literally what it says. It's a gap. I can literally put this, hover over this candle, and my cross is going all through it, like invading its privacy at this point. But if I go down, it's not doing it here. I have a wick to the left of it, so it's not invading it right here. But if I go up, we got a gap right here. So what you can do is just mark it from the candlestick to the low, and then boom, it's a gap, just like that. So, and then boom, you have another one right here. Another gap right here, y'all. Boom, boom. Imbalance. These are considered imbalances. So you just drag it to the left. Drag it to the, I'm dragging to the right, right? And then all you do is just wait for price to get back to this level. We could see that we are in a uptrend because price broke this high here, created a new high, pulled back, came back above this level that we wanted price to come back up to confirm for us that it wants to go in the uptrend. Not only did it confirm it, but it surpassed this previous high, giving us imbalance. So all you do is wait for price to come back to this level. This is technically a supply and demand setup, right? Supply and demand setup. So you're waiting for price to come back to this demand down here, or this imbalance, or whatever you want to call it, because you do have a demand setup sitting right below that imbalance. This is a demand setup. This is a demand sitting right here. And if you don't know what a demand is basically aggressive buying, and supply is aggressive selling. So if we look here at the previous candle from that aggressive move to the upside from these candlesticks, where did the aggressive move start from? So it started from this previous little red candlestick. That was our pivot point. Okay, our pivot point started right here, literally. So you can use this as, for me, what made me understand demand is basically when you have a lot of wicks inside of a area, like right here, it's more wicks than body, or when you have a lot of like consolidation in the area and then an aggressive move happens, or when you have an aggressive move happens and it have like a gap, and it have a gap inside of the aggressive move, you just look at the previous area where the aggressive move came from, and that whole area would be like a demand zone. So basically, if you wanted to mark this up as a demand zone, or if you wanted to mark this whole area up as a demand zone, it's totally up to you. It's your perspective. So when it comes to the industry, like the Forex industry, you basically trying to make it make sense to you. Like, that's why so many people out here sharing their journey, because everybody don't learn the same when it comes to trading Forex. And it's cool. It's cool. So if we come here to look to the left, we can see that price came back down. We dragged this to the right, not the left, to the right. We dragged this to the right, okay? And we could see that, okay, we drew this up before this even happened. We drew all this up. We drew the zone before all of this even happened. So this is an area that we want price could possibly come back to. It could reverse off of, But we do know that above this area, we had a gap here, and we have a demand zone here. And it's a possibility that liquidity is sitting in this area. Liquidity is basically just where a lot of orders are sitting, and price wants to go there and stop a lot of people out before it actually goes inside of its direction. So we see price broke this high, came back to fill this imbalance, which is here, the gap that we got here. And it came out and it took out a whole lot of orders right here, down in this area. Okay. Now, in order for me, I'm going to make that another video. We talking about gaps in supply and demand right now. We talking about gaps. All right. I ain't going to get into liquidity. I'm going to make that another video. All right. So basically, yeah, that's how you do it. Let's see if we can find another area that has a gap that price came down to it. All right. So we got another example right here. So we mark up our low. We can mark our low here, right? And as we see, we have a gap. Literally, this is an aggressive move. You want to look for aggressive move to the upside or aggressive move to the downside when it comes to these gaps, okay? It's also easy to spot it when you literally just look at the candlestick, you put your cross on it, and if your cross just like go straight through it, you see how my cross is going literally straight through it, to the left and to the right, to the left, to the right. It's going straight through it. It's invading its privacy. This is a gap from here to here. This is imbalance. All right. So in order for you to have a valid imbalance, you want to have a zone or a demand set up right below it. Okay. So remember when I told y'all it's easy to look for demand zones when you have a lot of consolidation or you got a lot of wicks or anything like that. if we look here, this is literally what's going on right here. You can mark it from this high and this low of this candlestick, this previous red candlestick, because this aggressive move happened from this previous red candlestick, and this will be considered your demand zone. Or you could just mark the whole area up. You know, some people like to mark the whole area up as a demand zone because price could come somewhere in between this area. Okay, and if we look right, it did exactly that. Not only did it fill this imbalance, but it also came down to this demand zone, the area that we had marked up. Okay, and what did it do when it came back down to this zone? It came back down to the zone, and then it broke structure. Okay, this was our high right here. It came and it broke structure. We're gonna delete this because we don't want to confuse y'all. So this was our previous high. Before it broke it, it came down, tapped into that demand zone, and then it came back up and broke above it. This was our confirmation candle right here for our entry. Okay, so boom. If you wanted to enter, I'm telling y'all don't really have to go down to a lower time frame to enter in these trades. If y'all had a perfect setup on a 1 hour time frame, you can enter there. You just have to make sure that your risk management is good. You using the right lot size. You're not getting in too much, too heavy or anything like that. So that's the perfect demand setup. Let's find us a supply setup. All right, so I found us a supply setup, right? When you're looking for supply setups, you're looking for aggressive selling. All right, so in order for me to, this is how I remember the difference between supply and demand. So supply starts with an S. It's so simple, but you have to make stuff work for you, y'all. Supply start with an S, so I just be like, all right, supply is selling. So demand gotta be the buy. So that's how I remembered, because it was all new to me, you know. So I was just like, yeah, I gotta find something that, you know, works for me. But anyway, so as y'all see right here, you got the breaker structure right here. Okay, this was the break for the sales. This was the break. And if we look here, we got the aggressive selling. When you're looking for a supply, you want to look for aggressive selling. And when you want to look, where did that aggressive selling come from? It came from this whole area right here. This is literally the whole area where that big momentum candle came from. Okay, and then you want to look inside of here and see if it's a gap. Okay, where did it come from? Is it a gap inside of this big candlestick that came from there? Can we put our cross right through the middle of it? I'm gonna pull this up some, like right here. Can we put our cross right through the middle of it and invade our privacy? Yeah, you can do that. You see, it's nothing to the left and it's nothing to the right. So that's literally considered a gap for us. So we marked that up as an imbalance, and my imbalance used to be blue. I don't know why it's right like that. It used to be like that. All right, boom. So this was the imbalance. All right. So now we got the breaker structure, we got the consolidation, we got the momentum candle, and we got price coming back into this imbalance. And then not only did it come back into the imbalance, it came back into our supply zone. And then what happened from there? You just wait for a candle. You just wait for price to break structure. So if we go down to a lower time frame, I'm not gonna go down to a lower time frame because my subscription not paid and I don't want it to just jump everywhere. But you just wait for price to break structure. Okay, you could wait for it to break this candlestick, or you could wait for it to, you know what I'm saying, break this low here. That's why I like to switch it to the line chart sometime, because it give me more accurate points entry. It don't really have a point of entry with the high and the low here, but this would be technically a low, but you can see price is way down here. That's too far from our zone, and I don't want to use that, so I'm not using that. I'm using this low. So as soon as price broke that low, then I would have got inside the market and entered for a short. Boom, like that. Put my stops a little bit above there, and then just have my point at a 1-to-1, which would be here. And that's all you really need. Let's see if we can find one more supply setup. All right, y'all. So I found another example for a supply setup. Sorry. So if we look here, we can see that we got aggressive selling. That's the first thing you always want to look for. Don't try to look for the breaker structure. Don't try to look for the gap. Don't try to look for nothing else. You want to look for aggressive selling when you're looking for a supply and demand setup. That's the first thing you want to look for, and then you can go from there. All right. So we got aggressive selling going on from here. Then you look and see if it's a breaker structure. You can look and see. Obviously, it was a breaker structure here before that aggressive sell happened. All right, so that was our breaker structure. All right, now the rest is up to you. You can look for the gaps, or you can look for the consolidation, or whatever you want to look for. So this whole area is considered a premium supply zone. All right, that's a whole area where price came and it did a whole bunch of consolidation. Now you could look for the gaps. All right, where are the gaps at inside of this whole move? So you always want your gaps to be closer to your demand zone or your supply zone. That's what makes the trade a big trade. All right, so you always want your zone, your imbalance, to be closer to your supply zone or your demand zone. That's what make the trade, the supply and demand setup, a more profitable trade and a more accurate trade. And you'll get the most out of that trade once you have the imbalance closer to your supply and demand zone. So if you look here, you can see you got the gap because you putting your cross right through it. You invading this privacy, right? You know what I'm saying? You cutting it, you slicing and dicing that boy. So you just boom, you put it from the bottom of this wick to the top of this wick. That's where the gap is at. Boom. So you put it there. And all you do is just wait for price to get back to this area. And then once price get back to that area, you can switch it to the line chart. And then you see this low going on. You just wait for price to break that low. Once price breaks that low, which will be here, this candlestick, it broke that low, because you always want to wait for the candlestick to close. Once price break it, you could get in for a sell, put your stops right above. You could put it, it's totally up to you where you put your stops at, above that zone or above the previous high. And then you just aim for a 1-to-1, or you could aim for the previous low. Totally up to you. Either way it go, you getting points out of the market, you getting pips out of the market. This strategy works with all commodities, indices, Forex market, currencies, stocks, whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's always, it works with everything. So, but the only thing you have to do is try to make it work for you. That's the only thing I can say. Cut out all the extra lingo. Y'all don't need that. You know what I'm saying? Try to make it work for you. But yeah, this is how I made it simple enough for me to understand what a gap was, what supply and demand zone was, and stay on a 1 hour time frame. If I could give y'all anything from this video, stay on a 1 hour time frame. Do not go down to a lower time frame unless you're ready to enter the market. Even if you don't choose to go down to a lower time frame, you could still wait for price to break structure on a 1 hour time frame, which would be here. You change it to the line chart, and then you just wait for a candlestick to close below this previous low, or below the previous low or high, whatever. So I hope y'all enjoyed the video, but until next time, I'll see y'all in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy. Peace.